As a hairstylist who owns multiple multi-million-dollar companies, in this podcast, I'm talking to hairstylists and salon owners who are ready to put in the work to build wealth. We are literally teaching stylists how to get results. We're getting them to get results on how to make more money behind the chair and to create their own empires. It's what you know that you don't know that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. Because I understand now that in order for me to get to my targets and my big goals and be able to impact 500,000 stylists all over the world and 400 plus salon owners and helping them run an efficient business that they don't feel like they're babysitting anymore, that they feel like they know how to scale it because they have the right information. We get to touch this magic every day of giving people the confidence of hair, but truly it's how do we be more impactful and understanding. My name is Terra Harvell and this is the Terra Harvell Show. Okay, you guys, I have my favorite mentor, but client. Let's not forget, we are putting 2 rows of extensions in her. We're doing her blonding, all the things today, but I have the absolute scaling expert. And I know that the entire hair industry wants to hear from Natalie. And so we're gonna just drill her with tons of questions on what she would do if she was a stylist or salon owner and scaling her business. Are you guys ready? Thanks for being here.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm excited to get my beautiful hair back in.
Yes.
The hair is so gorgeous. Also, they're pretty great at coloring, but
All the things.
all the things.
We're gonna talk all things business and all things hair. Ready?
Can't wait.
All right, Natalie, let's talk. I wanna know, if you were a salon owner, how would you design your salon on building an absolute empire, meaning probably multiple locations, growing to hundreds of stylists, like let's say Cardone Ventures in salon version. What would you do when it comes to stylists and scaling the individual employees? Like what would be the first place that you would start on painting that vision for these people?
I would get really clear on how much money they could make, because I think that's the most important thing to figure out. And most business owners think about how they make money and how they're going to scale and what their goals are, but they never actually take the time to reverse engineer what their team members could make. And so if you really spend a couple of weeks, this doesn't have to take a long time. It's not like this is a 6-month project or a 2-year project to reverse engineer this, but you really say, okay, what's the most amount of money somebody can make? And ideally, if you're a salon owner and you are currently behind the chair, you're looking at your own production. Like when you were your best, how much money were you making? Because then you have confidence in being able to tell somebody, hey, you could make $200,000. Hey, you could make $300,000, whatever it is that your production was. And when you have the confidence to help show somebody that they could go from making $50,000, isn't it the average stylist makes about like $56,000 a year?
If you Google it, yes.
Yeah, so how do you paint a vision that's so incredible where somebody who is currently making $56,000 a year, but has the aspirations to make $200,000 a year can easily opt in because you're talking about them making more money and having a different quality of life than they're able to achieve on their own. So I'd first start off by reverse engineering how much money somebody can make. And then once I have that number, I would spend every free moment that I have figuring out how would I train somebody to do exactly what I do to be able to make the amount of money that I'm able to make. What are those tips? What are those tricks? Because as you provide a robust training plan for somebody, it actually gets them to believe that your vision isn't just some idea, but you've taken the action required to onboard them. As you and I were just talking about in the car, when your team members come on board and they're like, wow, you've actually laid all this out and the questions that I had, you've already answered. When your team members take you that seriously because you put the time and energy into it, it's not just a vision at that point. You've actually created something that they can see and understand is real, and they're going to be more interested in taking the steps required to put themselves in play and actually hit those targets.
Right. That's, I mean, the one thing too I want to ask you, because I recently saw this inside the industry, you know, salon owners feel like their business is just a stepping stone. Like maybe their people will grow on to open their own business and do more things maybe outside of their environment in the industry. Like how do you don't set your business up like that. So what is your take on that when it comes to salon owners and why we shouldn't feel like our business is a stepping stone?
It's just a mindset. You should never lose great people. If you have great people, great stylists, great people who are in the back office, great people in accounting, whatever function. You should never lose great people. Your vision just needs to be big enough for them to be able to see how they can achieve what they're looking for inside your business. Because instead of somebody going off and owning their own salon, and unless they have such a huge ego where they say like, I have to be the person, my name has to be on the door, it has to be the way I want to do it, they should feel really excited. If you have a great culture and you've helped them and you've trained them and you are a great mentor, to say, wow, I'd rather do this with you and make money with you and create on an opportunity with you than having to do it by myself, because business is lonely. And as people start to become more successful, I think there's a realization that they naturally end up coming to, which is you're collecting great people, and there aren't as many great people as you might think there are who are really willing to put in the work and put in the hours. And so the ones that you do have in your business, you never want to think, oh yeah, they're just gonna leave me anyway. You really want to treat them as if they're important to you and talk about opportunities for them to be a future partner to help you expand, not have them think that they need to go start their own thing. And
Right.
most businesses fail within the first 5 years, 97 fail within the first 10 years. So it's really not in their best interest to go start a business and not be profitable. So why not create a picture that's big enough for them to actually do it alongside you?
Right. And, you know, speaking of that, being profitable, like most salon owners, just like most business owners, aren't profitable. They open the business because maybe they didn't like the salon that they worked at, or they wanted to be their own boss, you know, all those reasons that people start businesses, which, you know, can sometimes be valid, but then they open a business, they're not profitable. They don't actually make money being the business owner. Why is this something that and what should they do in order to figure out how they can run a profitable business? And why is it important that they figure out how to run a profitable business to sustain the business at all?
Well, this is why I think that they should come to you, because you figured out how you actually do this, right? If there's a business in your industry that knows how to become profitable, instead of you learning all of these lessons on your own, learning it the hard way, having to fail, instead what you need to do is just learn from people who are already crushing it. That is the biggest hack. So many people just have a lot of ego and they think that they have to figure things out for themselves. They want to do it the hard way. They have new ideas. Do not reinvent the wheel when you're starting a business. If you are not profitable and you do not have clear line of sight for when you're going to be profitable, which should be month 1, then you're doing something wrong already. And the best way to become profitable, the best way to learn anything, is to just learn from people who have already learned those mistakes, have already taken it on the chin, and are willing to teach you what those mistakes are so you can just avoid them.
Absolutely. And something that I've learned about, you know, hairstylists, and I know this is in any industry because I work with, you know, you guys who work with hundreds of industries, and you guys are the people that have quite literally helped us scale, become profitable. My employees are behind the camera right here. I feel like they're much happier since we've been working with Cardone Ventures, wouldn't you say, Aubrey? So we've learned from people that are doing it right. But the problem is, like, I've invested, you know, quite a bit to learn from you guys. Like, what about that investment? Like, I feel like that is something all industries struggle with, but why do people struggle so much with investing money to learn how to make money? And why is it why is it important that they are doing that? And do you still do that at your stage in business?
I probably invest $1 million a year in my own learning and education. So yes, absolutely. It doesn't just stop once you've taken a course or read a book about the thing that you're trying to do, because as you become successful in creating a salon and having one location, you realize that you're capable of having 10 salons. And then once you have 10 salons, all of a sudden you're like, well, wow, I could help so many more people if I continued to expand. And so this growth never stops. But I think what stops people initially is they don't know how to switch their mindset and their habits to actually make use of the investment, because they think about previous times where they bought the course, bought the book, went to the live event, and they didn't actually take any action. And their own doubt in themselves has more to do with their inability to make the decision, not whether or not it works. People who have created a system where they've actually implemented it inside their business, inside their life, it works, especially when they have results and other people that they can point you to who are living, breathing examples that it works. So it's not that the system doesn't work, it's that the person doesn't work. And then you have to ask, if the person isn't willing to do it, then of course it's going to fail. And they aren't the type of person that actually can have a 10 location empire or 20 location empire, because they just aren't quite literally willing to put in the work. But the ones who are, they're the ones who are going to invest. And you just have to get people initially over that first hump of investing and then hold them truly accountable to actually making use of it, instead of going back on old habits and investing in something, but then letting themselves down.
And then when you do invest, like say, over $1 million a year on your own education, which is incredible, who do you decide who to learn from?
People who have done what we're doing. The investments today look like being around people, very specific people who have created what we are trying to create. So we are rubbing shoulders and making impressions on people who run multi-billion-dollar private equity funds. Mm-hmm. And you don't just ask them for their course or ask them for their book. The investments, in order to play that game, you have to spend money to be in their space and to make use of the time, the moments, the handful of moments that you might get in order to ask them questions. So that's what that learning and investment starts to look like as the game starts to get bigger and the players are actually fewer who have done what you're trying to do. But you only pick people who have done what you want to do. And if they haven't done what you want to do, don't listen to them, don't pay attention to them. It's not that they're bad people. You just quite literally aren't going to be able to be helped by them because you're trying to build something different. Yeah. So you only listen to people who've done what you were trying to do. And I used to remember I would buy books. I've always been an avid reader. Yeah. And I used to just buy books based off of if I liked the title and the cover. I wouldn't even know who wrote it. And whenever somebody would ask me who wrote the book that I was reading, I'd be like, oh, I have no idea. It sounded nice. Yeah. And now I just think that that's so ridiculous, but I recognize that a lot of people make decisions like I used to make decisions. It's just, it's a pretty cover, or she looked like she knew what she was talking about, or it had some interesting title and it caught my attention. That's great marketing, but that's not great mentorship.
Right. And, our industry is like educator obsessed. Like everybody, it's like the end all be all almost. It's like everybody is like, I want to be an educator. I want to be an educator. But I'm seeing this sort of like dip in that everybody wants to be an educator, but these salon owners are so focused on education, but they don't have the stats themselves. And that's why their team isn't successful, because they have no leadership to look up to of like, hey, wow, you have all these stats behind the chair. You've made all this money behind the chair. Your metrics are this, your metrics are that. And so I want to be that. Why is that a problem? Like I know have wore 50,000 hats in Cardone Ventures. Like, why is it important that you've built the stats in your own business so that the people coming up beyond you can perform?
Because what are they going to perform to if they don't have any sort of clear-cut measurement for what success really looks like? And quite honestly, how do you ever hold somebody accountable to do something that you haven't done before? It gets very tricky. And when you stop holding people accountable in your environment, your environment just ends up getting sloppy. And it's not just one person that's sloppy, it's the entire environment that prevents your business from growing. I talk a lot about how to build a high-performance team. Well, a high-performance team is made up of high-performance individuals. So individually, who is their mentor? Who is the person that decided to hire them inside the business? Who trained them on what exactly they were supposed to be doing to begin with? And if that person was absent, if that person didn't know what they were doing, if that person didn't have high standards and hold the person accountable, then that is just going to continue to repeat itself as you scale and add additional team members. Okay. So this high performance environment, you first have to perform, and people shouldn't feel good about educating if they don't have stats. You should feel like a fraud. You should feel like there's a little bit of imposter syndrome because you quite literally are pretending like you've done something and you're teaching somebody how to do something that you can't do. It'd be like somebody who is 45 pounds overweight telling you how to work out and how to get a six-pack. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. So of course you're going to have imposter syndrome. That's a good indicator. It's an indicator that you need stats, and stats are easy to go get. You just have to put work in to figure it out, so that then you can come from a place of, this is what I did, not this is what you should do based off of my theories about how to get from where you are to where you want to go.
Right. And, and I think that a lot of people in our industry, they want to skip over that whole, like, hey, what have we built our stats in? And then maybe we go teach a hair color class because they're really, good at foiling, but like, what stats make you good at foiling? Like, who said you were good? Your clients that are happy about the color, or are you wanting to educate other stylists on how to better their lives? And so when you guys educate us, you solve a massive problem you solve a 1,000 problems that we're having. But how important is it that if you are going outside and you are going to educate other people, that you are solving people's problems like they're actually having?
Yeah, you'll find really quickly if you aren't solving real problems that you can't make any money doing it, which goes back to your question about how you build a profitable business. You get to know pretty quickly if it's a real problem, because you're going to have clients that are saying, I have this problem and I will pay you money to help me solve this, or you're not going to have anybody besides your close family and a handful of friends buy your course, buy your training, show up. So that's the cool thing about business is the market will tell you. You just can't lie to yourself when the market does tell you, because you're not profitable and you aren't able to make money. If you aren't able to make money doing what you're doing, it is likely that you just haven't quite figured out how to solve the right set of problems, and you don't know how to charge what you're worth. I think in this industry, that would probably be a bigger challenge than the right or the wrong problem. Like, people need, like, I need my hair to get fixed. It does not look good right now. There is grow out. It looks good from what you guys did
I'm with you.
2 months ago, but I have a problem and I want somebody to solve it, and I'm willing to pay a hefty price in order to make it look nice, because I've had bad experiences where it didn't look nice. And so you're naturally solving a problem. As soon as you start to morph into this education space, if you are a great educator, you will know, because people will want to get educated by you. And if you do not have people who want to get educated by you, it is likely that you weren't able to promote that you had the stats to begin with for why people should listen to you, or you do have the stats and you just don't know how to educate. You're not dynamic, you're not engaging, it's not a fun experience for people, they don't really learn anything. And so if you can narrow down one of those two variables, you'll find that you can create a lot of control in the process of building a business or trying to learn how to educate people, because either you need to go get stats in the thing, or you need to get stats in being able to entertain people and educate them. So either way, it's just hard work and a lot of reps that get you to your ultimate goal.
For a business owner like yourself that is going to do $225 million this year, say you're a salon owner, you're a hairstylist and you want to open salons and you want to get to $20 million in revenue, 30% profitability in 5 years. That was your target. How would you do that?
Well, I would definitely start with one location and making that one location my model location. I don't agree with the booth rental salon structure unless you happen to be in a place that is very high volume. So a commission structure and creating long-term incentives for your best team members is the fastest way to scale. And if your goal was to have a $20 million revenue set of salons, then you would know over 5 years you need to open up 10 locations. But the model location would be the location that you are working in, that you are creating energy in, that you are setting the vision and being able to really use as a model for other people to come in and train. And the value prop would be, for the people who join you today, you're going to have high expectations, but you're going to be able to offer them opportunities that nobody else can offer them, which would be future partnerships, because they could be your expansion partners for your 5th location and your 6th location and your 7th location and your 8th location, because they know how to properly run a salon, because they worked in the model salon and they helped create the systems and the processes and the structure. So you would have a lot of confidence in them to help you expand. They would have a lot of confidence in you and your brand and what you represent and the type of clientele that you're bringing in. But you start that conversation on day one. This is not in 2 years, you then start to tell your team about the vision. You are clear on this from the moment that you start hiring people. You talk about it in the interview process. You talk about it in their onboarding. Every single day they are reminded of what you're building and what the standard of excellence needs to look like, so that it actually comes to fruition. And that's just the biggest fallacy that I watch small business owners have in how they operate. They think that it needs to be just this easy, smooth, wonderful, fun workplace in order to scale. And yes, fun is great. However, you have to have structure that allows people to really understand that what they're doing is important. You're not just having one salon. It's not just the one customer that you happen to mess up with, and it's no big deal. Every customer matters to set the reputation and to build the whole team's confidence in what you're building. And that energy and that ecosystem in your first salon will catapult your ability to scale to multiple salons and ultimately have future partners and long-term team members where you're not dealing with the same attrition that a lot of salon owners deal with their stylists.
My next question is like, how dangerous is it to own a business without the clear vision of like where it is we're going in 5 years, where it is what we're going in 10 years? How dangerous is that? Because I used to be that business owner. I used to have to be the business owner with no vision. We were just doing the damn thing, trying to scale.
Yep.
But now we have a vision and it's different. So tell me about that.
Well, it's funny because earlier you mentioned that a lot of people decide that they want to be their own boss, and they think that it's this badge of honor to own your own business because you're your own boss. All of a sudden, if you don't have a vision, the same feelings that you had about your boss, which is, I hate this person and they're so awful to me, you now start to feel that way about yourself. You start to hate yourself because you've created this job for yourself and you've created this thing where you're on this ride and you cannot get off of this ride. It's not profitable, it's not working out, and you are your own keeper. You're your own boss, which means you've created all of these negative conditions for you not to be able to scale out of the business because you never had the vision to begin with. And so it's never too late for a salon owner to recreate this vision. You know, what you're asking me originally is the first salon. How would you do it if you were going to do this from scratch? But if I already had an existing team of people, I would walk in and I'd say, hey guys, I've gotten clear on where we're going and this is where we're going. And if you're on the same page as me by the end of this week, let me know. If you're not on the same page, I will help you transition to another salon. I will make sure that you are totally set up for success, but I'm only looking for people moving forward that are interested in helping me build what I want to build. So that way, the following Monday, you know that the team that is there, they are building this thing with you and everybody is held to this new standard. And as you're building this new thing, all of a sudden everybody is excited about the vision and you're making changes and you're in there with your team operating it every single day so that you can create this model that then allows you to scale. But devoid of that vision, you're just gonna have a really, really difficult time finding great people, keeping great people, and creating what you're ultimately trying to create.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like if I've learned, I've learned a million things from you guys, but that's just it. It's like the clarity on where we're headed. And I feel like as a business owner, I've been able to make better decisions because I'm more clear on what it is we're trying to accomplish. And even before, I feel like I've, invited, maybe it's an employee, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's, because stylists, just like anybody else, we get really excited about our fun, new creative ideas, these podcasts and these things that we want to launch and all the things that we want to do. But it's like, does it really get you to the target? And so how do you kind of weed out that? Because I know that you are a visionary, obviously. And so how do you kind of weed out what's good for the business and what's just maybe a good idea that we shelf for later, or maybe we don't do it at all?
When you're clear about creating a $20 million set of salons and you know that it would take 10 salons for you to get there and your profitability needs to be 30%, it is going to take every ounce of energy for you actually to create that thing. And so anything outside of that, until you have hit that target, cannot be your priority. You can't be focused on it because you haven't done the first thing. And I don't want to lose confidence in myself. As I'm building something, if I'm saying that Cardone Ventures is going to help 1 million business owners, I can't start talking about how I really love children and how I want to start a nonprofit that supports kids and how I want to feed animals or save the planet. Like, I'm going to lose confidence because I didn't do the first thing, and I'm going to have all of these open cycles in my life. And so the way that you stay committed to a vision is you stay focused to begin with, of getting clear on what you're trying to build, and ideally that thing changes the trajectory of your life. For me, helping 1 million business owners changes the trajectory of my life. It is actually the fulfillment of my purpose. I'm excited about that. I would say in 10 years from now, wow, I'm really proud of myself for doing that. I'm not going to say to myself in 10 years from now, oh, I'm proud that I was able to impact 120,000 and then got distracted because I decided to create this side shoot podcast and do this weird partnership over here and diversify all of my time and attention. So when you pick a really big target that's worth your while, that you believe, man, I would be so freaking proud of myself if I did this thing, that is the first place that you start. And then you just say no to everything else until you do that thing. And once you do that thing, have at it. Get creative, do all the different things.
Yeah. Okay, so the industry and myself, I'm just honored, freaking out a little bit on the inside that you're going to be able to come to the Legacy Summit and talk to all of us. But if you are a hairstylist in the industry, why would you come to the summit?
Because it's the hack. It's the ultimate cheat code. When you are able to be in a room with people who have built something big that you want to build, you learn from them, you invest, you show up. That is the number one rule of success. You show up. So if you know that in the industry, this event is happening where people who have done what you want to do are going to be there and you can learn from them, that what other place should you be? Why would you invest your time doing something else? Why do you think that you need to stay in your salon so that you continue to do what you've always done, which has gotten you to exactly where you are, which is not achieving your goals and building what you ultimately set out to achieve? So get in the room, meet the people, understand what they're doing, ask really great questions, but you can't do any of that unless you are actually there, you buy a ticket, you show up, and you make that commitment. And one of the coolest things that happens when you make a commitment to showing up to an event is you get to start prepping now about what you are going to do when you actually show up to the event. So you get to become somebody different between now and then in your preparation, which is going to force you to look at things in your business that you might not be paying attention to. Maybe it's your marketing, maybe it's your hiring, maybe it's your accounting. I don't know what's wrong with your business, but I have a feeling that if you don't already have 10 locations and you're not crushing it, there's some things that are wrong with your business. So make the commitment and then become who you need to be in order to show up at the event, ready to learn, ready to ask great questions, ready to network. And then from that point forward, you get to do the additional work. But we'll talk about that once you get there.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Natalie. And I'm excited to see your hair when it's done,
It's gonna be beautiful. Can't wait.